Okay, I've got another fantastic game for you. This one, Eline Roebers down here has been just destroying people lately. She's playing in this game is from the FIDE World Cup. She's playing Claudia here from Poland, who is an international master as well. They're both international masters. Elaine, though, is just 17 years old, and she has been just crushing it lately. So in the FIDE World Cup, we have Magnus Carlsen lost to an 18-year-old boy, Vincent Keimer the other day, and he threw a little bit of a fit. He says doesn't even know why he's playing classical chess. It's just too stressful for him. Number one player in the world whining about losing a game. And then world number two as well, Hakura Nakamura. So he just got kicked out. Well, he just got beat by Prague, who's of India, a 17-year-old boy, knocked out world number two. And Elaine down here is actually the only player in the tournament that is undefeated. So she has not lost a single game. And in this game, she puts on a incredible performance. She's playing the black pieces here, and she plays at an ELO of 3,000 in this game. Just incredible. 92% accuracy. Let's go ahead and get right into the game and take a look. We're back up here. So we have the King's Indian. So the Polish player Claudia is playing the English attack, and then we have the King's Indian defense. And if you don't know these little symbols, that means book moves. These are master moves. And we continue here, pawn to d4, and now bishop to g7, as you pretty much always do in the King's Indian defense. Pawn to h3, not a move you normally expect, but the idea is we'd like to put the knight on f3, and we don't want to help them have a reason to develop their bishop, so that makes sense. It's a master move, and we have Eline castling here, and now bishop to e3 by the international master from Poland. Knight to c6, and it's being recommended a better move would be knight to d7, and we kind of see here why. After pawn to d5, the knight repositions to e5. We have queen to d2, and now pawn to e6 and pawn to f4. Now kicking that knight back to that square. So she made two extra moves and ends up putting the knight right where the computer suggested would have been a better place to put it anyway. So perhaps not the most efficient way to play for Eline, but she makes up for it here in a little bit. We have pawn captures on e6 by white, and now Eline plays pawn captures on the e6 as well. Best possible move in the position. Pawn to g4 by Claudia, and this is interesting. So kind of starting an attack here, you can kind of tell that she is planning to castle to the queen side here. She as in Claudia, because yeah, her pawn structure is way out here. But it's interesting because this pawn is advanced. So this is going to be, there's going to be some fireworks here. This is a short game. It only lasts 43 moves, I think. Elaine plays pawn to b6, which is interesting. So saying it would be better to go ahead and sacrifice that pawn and just get the bishop activated. So just giving up a pawn for some activity, basically. Also, maybe open up this file a little bit. So it seems fairly obvious that Claudia was thinking about castling queenside, so this would maybe make it less attractive to castle queenside. Anyway, that's not what happened in the chess game. We're going to go ahead and back up. And yeah, so she plays pawn to b6. Elaine plays pawn to b6, looking to fianchetto the bishop here. We have bishop to g2 by Claudia, and now we do see bishop to b7 by Elaine. So we got double fianchettoed bishops, kind of cracking down on the center of the board there. Kind of cool. You don't see that very often. We now have rook to h2, kind of a strange move here. It's an okay move. You can see knight to e2 is suggested to be a better move, but just kind of weird to move the bishop or move the rook up like that. But just trying to defend that bishop is the idea. Elaine now plays queen to c8, and yeah, the computer is suggesting that bishop to a6 is the better move. But if bishop a6, they just play pawn to b3, and the bishop seems silly over there. So Not quite sure why that's recommended here. Maybe one of you can suggest to me why that would be the case. Oh, whoops. So now we have castles by Claudia. This is the best possible move in the position. And we have knight to c5 by Eline, queen to c2 by Claudia, and now pawn to pawn to a5. And then, as I said, when we have opposite side castling, you can expect some fireworks. And so we have pawn storms happening on both sides of the board. Knight to e2 now by Claudia, and Eline advances the a pawn again to a4. We have knight to g3 by Claudia, and knight f to d7 by Eline. Pawn to h4 here by White, and it is saying that pushing the pawn on g5 would be better, but this is a good way to go. Just continuing the attack. We have bishop to c6 by Eline. This is being called an inaccuracy, or no, this is being called a mistake, saying instead she should have just pushed the pawn to a3, and something like this would have happened, just kind of penetrating the position, kind of restricting the king. That's not what happened, so we'll back up and go back to what Eline actually played. So she plays bishop to c6 here, and we continue with knight to b5 by Claudia. We have queen to b7 by Eline. It is saying that rook to a5 would be the best possible move here, but regardless if queen to b7 is as played or rook to a5, White is still winning in this position. White still has the advantage, but so we're just gonna go ahead and continue because White doesn't have the advantage for long here. Pawn to g5, best possible move by the international master from Poland, and Eline now does play rook to a5. This is the best possible move in the position. Knight back to a3 is being called a mistake, saying, hey, play pawn to h5. There's too much craziness going on here. A lot of pieces kind of coming in towards the queen side there where Claudia's king is residing. So it would have been better to go ahead and start an attack on the king side here, going after Eline's king. Nonetheless, we'll continue. We now have pawn to b5. This is the best possible move in the position, really the only move that works. It threatens to kick the knight and cause all kinds of problems as we continue up the board. We have pawn captures on b5 by Claudia. This is the best possible move. And now, surprising, rook captures on b5 by Eline. This is being called a blunder because after knight captures, queen captures on b5. Now Claudia is just up a full knight, or not a full knight. She's up the exchange. She's up she traded her knight for a rook. So now Eline is down material, although she does have a more clear attack. I think maybe she might have been thinking about bringing her rook over here or something, although that doesn't happen in this game. Just trying to open up an attack on White's king. We now have bishop back to f1 by the international master from Poland. This isn't the best move, saying instead king to b1 would have been a better way to play. Eline moves her queen to b4. This is being called a miss, saying she should have played instead queen a5. Although either way, White is still technically winning in this position as, well, she's up 2 points. She's up the difference between a knight and a rook. We now have queen to c4, and this is instructive. If you're up a couple points in a chess game, you do want to, you should trade queens. If you're up 2 points, if you're up a piece, you should trade queens because it gives your opponent less opportunity to get back into the game. Eline does not want to trade queens. She wants a checkmate. She wants to get a checkmate, and it's going to be hard to get a checkmate without a queen, so she backs her queen up to a5. We have bishop captures on c5 by Claudia, and we have knight captures on c5 by Eline, just still activating those pieces. And now pawn to f5 by Claudia, and this is being called a mistake. I think the idea was just this pin of the pawn here. If pawn captures, then you have this discovered check, but I think she may have missed the fact that the bishop is defending this square here, so that doesn't quite work out. Eline plays bishop to e5 here, attacking the undefended knight, And this is the best possible move by Claudia attacking the pawn here. But yeah, this discovered check doesn't hold as quite as much gusto as you might think. So Eline just goes ahead and captures the undefended knight. And now they are even in material. We do have pawn to e7 check. But because the bishop is guarding that e8 square, Eline can just move her rook to f7. And there's no problem here. This is the best possible move, of course. We have rook to h3, best move by Claudia. And now bishop back to f4 with check. King to b1, where he should have been anyway. And now we have king to g7. This is the only move that works, and the idea is, yeah, to be able to capture that pawn. Claudia, the international master from Poland, actually makes a mistake here. She should have played, as you see, rook to f3 here instead, preventing the rook from being able to capture this e7 pawn, because the rook would be responsible for the defense of the bishop, but she doesn't. She plays pawn to h5, and Eline goes ahead and grabs that very dangerous pawn. We have bishop to d3 by Claudia, and by the way, Eline is up a point now. She's got her material back, and now Eline plays pawn captures on h5. We have rook captures on h5 by Claudia, and now bishop back to c8, attacking the rook. Best possible move in the position. Rook back to h4, attacking the bishop. And Eline moves her bishop back to e5 once again. We have bishop to e2 by Claudia, and now bishop to g6, lining up with the king there. Very interesting. Two attackers now on that pawn. And Claudia does not like this, so she plays bishop to h5. And now we have queen to b6, just brutally threatening straight up checkmate with the bishop and the queen attacking b2 there. We have pawn to b4, which is a good way to play. Also could play queen to c2, but this is just as good. We have en passant, so we have a captures on b3 ep. So maybe some of you don't realize you can play that move. Even though that pawn moved up too, by the rules of chess, if they avoid the capture square, you can capture them as if they moved two spaces. This comes from back in the 1400s. They introduced the ability of the pawn to move two spaces on the first move. And some people didn't really like that because, yeah, you could avoid a capture square. So part of that new rule change, well, new rule change over 500 years ago, is that if a pawn jumps trying to avoid the capture square of another pawn, you could capture them en passant, in passing. And we'll continue. We now have pawn to a5, or excuse me, pawn to a4 here. And it does say better would be to go ahead and capture the pawn, although white is totally lost here at this point. They're definitely in some trouble. We have knight we have knight captures pawn on e4, trying to set up this discovered attack. And so Claudia goes ahead and captures that bishop just to prevent that from being a problem. It would have been better to go ahead and just capture the bishop with the rook, as you see here, because now Eline has a chance to checkmate, to force mate. So knight to c3 played here, check. Best possible move in the position. King to c1, really not much that can be done. It actually says best move is just to sacrifice the queen. And the game would have gone on longer, as this game is almost over. We now have pawn to b2 by Eline. King goes to d2. Would have been better slightly to move to c2, but it's really kind of pointless. Queen now to f2, check, and now king to d3 is best possible play, but it doesn't matter because queen to e2 is now checkmate. So that was the game. So Eline winning with the black pieces, in an incredible fashion. So the performance rating of this game was 3,000. So a Grandmaster is 2,500, Super Grandmaster 2,700, but Eline played at a rating of 3,000 in this game. And Claudia, the international master in Poland, she actually played at a 2,550 rating, so over Grandmaster level, but not enough with Eline. Just I mean, this girl is on fire. She is just killing it. Her rating has gone up a couple hundred points in the last 18 months. And yeah, she's definitely somebody to watch. She's just a very serious chess player. Anyway, thank you all for joining me for that. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah, please like and subscribe, as I will be making more chess videos, usually about every week. Also, if you're interested in taking chess classes, or if you have a kid interested in taking chess classes, I have my own website, legendarychess.com. I'll put a link in the description. You can check that out. We are doing unlimited chess classes starting right now through September 30th. And I have times that should accommodate kids all over the world, or people all over the world. So I hope you join me for that. Again, check it out in the description. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Bye-bye.